So where do England go from here? Post-World Cup 2023, building to the Six Nations next year, and of course looking further ahead to the next World Cup in 2027 in Australia. Now I think this is going to be a two-parter. In this part I'm going to talk about kind of a World Cup appraisal of the players and who should stay, who should go, and a bit more in between. And then in the second part I'm going to pick a squad for the Six Nations as I see it at the moment. Of course, plenty can change. There's lots of Guinness Premiership to play, but at the moment, how do I see it? What would the squad look like? What might the team look like? And what sort of players might England be looking at after that as well? Some of the younger players and some of those that might be sticking around helping out, shall we say. Now, I did ask in one of the previous videos, please do put down some questions in the comments. I do want to do a nice big question and answer video at some point. Things I haven't mentioned, things I haven't discussed, please put a capital Q and your question in the comments below. I'd love to get back to those at some point, but certainly some of the questions have been, what do England do from here? Now, this is a list of the players involved in the World Cup. Obviously, some came in, some went home with injury. The key I'm going to use is S for stay, G for go, R for retired or probably will retire. Obviously, I'm guessing a little bit there. I for interim, as in they're not going to stay for the whole 4 years, but they could be useful helping the younger players come through. And U for unavailable, basically ineligible, just couldn't be another I. So let's get stuck into it, starting with loosehead prop. Joe Marler, well, he had a really good World Cup, mainly because England didn't play a fast-running game. Those last two games, quarter-final, semi-final in the rain, suited him well. He could scrummage. Him and Dan Cole certainly went out in style. I think they will retire from international rugby if they haven't announced it already, or maybe England are just going to move on from them, so I'm going to put them as R's. Joe Marler, retire. Ellis Genge, interesting one. Still showed his amazing bullocking running. He can definitely pack a punch with a power carry, but scrummaging, it's still a question. It's okay, but not right up there. But definitely he stays. We need props. We are struggling for props. He'll be 32 by the next World Cup. And those ages, those numbers I'm putting before the letter, that is the age of the player come the next World Cup. So he should still be okay for that World Cup. Bevan Rodd, I say is a stay. I think he's got plenty of ability. He will get better and better. Only 23 now, which is young for a prop. 27 next World Cup, he should be in his prime. Hooker-wise, it was the Jamie George show. We needed a set-piece hooker with our game plan. That's what he is. Loads of experience, makes few mistakes. I say that even though he made a couple of crucial ones in that semi-final. Does he stay? Does he go? Well, I'm putting him as an interim. He will be 37 in the next Rugby World Cup. I don't think he's going to be playing that, but we're going to need to bring in some more hookers. He's a very useful guy to kind of lead them through, to teach them, so stick around for a year or two. Theo Dan's going to be 26 in the next World Cup, and he's a real prospect. I think he could be an excellent player. Now, he's got some amazing carrying ability. We know that. He can beat players, and his set piece looks pretty solid as well, so he definitely stays. Jack Walker, very rarely used in this World Cup, just once I think actually. It's going to be 31 in the next World Cup. I think he'll still be around in the background, but I'm going to say go for now. On to the Tightheads, and we know propping was a problem for England in this World Cup, hence why Dan Cole was there. Did his job in the scrum, 100 caps, well done to him. He is expected to retire though. Carl Sinclair is going to be 34 in the next World Cup, and it's a tricky one with Carl Sinclair. He's not quite the player he was. He's not as explosive. He doesn't look as comfortable around the pitch. He can make some powerful runs. Scrummaging was never his big thing anyway, so as he's kind of slowed down a bit, it's a bit tricky to see where he fits in, so I'm going to say go for now. See if he can get that form back for Bristol Bears. 34 in the next World Cup, so maybe we will see. Will Stewart, I'm also putting down as a go. I'm just not seeing enough international quality from him. He'll be there in the background, only 31 in the next World Cup, so could be a guy to call on, but at the moment I think he is a go. Second row wise, young Ollie Chesham had a few mistakes in the World Cup, but he was coming back from a bad ankle injury. There's plenty of ability there. 23 now, 27 in the next World Cup would be a perfect age, so he definitely sticks around the squad. Then Maro Itoje. Definitely came into the tournament with a few question marks. Looks a little bit leggy early on, but to be fair to England's fitness coaching, they got it spot on and they peaked towards the end of the tournament. He was looking really sharp in the quarters, in the semis, so good World Cup for him. 33 in the next World Cup, so conceivable he will make it, so I think a definite stay there. George Martin did show some signs that he was really coming through, only 22 now. Very powerful guy, could play 6 as well. 26 in the next World Cup, so a stay for him. David Ribbons is a good second row, not used as much as the others, maybe because he is going to become unavailable as he moves to Toulon, so he's obviously a U for unavailable. Back rowers, Tom Curry put in a big shift in defence. Obviously the World Cup didn't start well for him with a red card, but he's only 25 now, 45 caps already, 29 in the next World Cup. He's a stay, as is Ben Earl, same age there as well. Considering Ben Earl hadn't really broken through for England, he is a 7 and he was playing 8, did amazingly well. He's a stay. It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to be used. Courtney Lawes, what a great player he is, or was, because he's retired now. Nearly 100 caps, put in a really good shift in the World Cup. Has got better and better, and to be fair to Eddie Jones, he was one of the players that he did push to get better, especially in his carrying, and it really showed. He's a better player now than he was at the beginning, certainly a better all-rounder, so well done to him, but he's not around for England. And Lewis Ludlam, I'm putting as a U for now because it sounds like he might be going to France, although he could be around in the Six Nations, so a U, maybe an S, I'm not so sure. Lewis Ludlam I'm putting down as a U because I think he might be going to France. Yes, he might be available for the Six Nations, but I think you've got to take players through who are going to be available through to the World Cup ideally. So I'm putting him down as a U for now. Sam Underhill obviously came in as a replacement, got into that semi-final side, put in a good shift. He'll be 31 in the next World Cup, so maybe, maybe not, but a stay, definitely worth having around. Billy Vunipola, well, you know my feelings there. I think it was a World Cup too far. Not his fault because he got selected, but occasionally looks a bit lethargic around the pitch. I don't know what you think, but I think it's a go. He's going to have some more years for Saracens, that's fair enough, but I think his England time has gone. Jack Willis, it's a shame his World Cup was cut short, but he is a really good player. He's a U because he's re-signed with Toulouse, so he's not available, so he's out of the picture. Danny Kerr, the veteran 36, had a good World Cup, but I think it is kind of a retirement thing for him, even though maybe he's not going to say it. That's probably the last time he'll play for England, so I'm putting him down as an R, but, you know, that is a bit speculative, of course. Now, Alex Mitchell came into the squad as a replacement, and what is great is he's grown and grown in confidence, which is what I've been asking of Alex Mitchell all along. I've said he's been the best player in the Premiership, and he showed it here, so that's great to see. So he's a stay, 30 in the next World Cup. Can he keep going and getting better and better? We will see. Ben Youngs has retired. He'll be 38 anyway next World Cup. And young Jack Van Poort-Vliet, well, he's going to be only 26 in the next World Cup. He hasn't looked the best for England so far, but he has got the physical ability. Let's see how he goes, and hopefully he'll recover from his injury, so he's a stay as well. Now, with the fly halves, it's a tricky one, especially Farrell and Ford. Still good enough to play for England. They'll be 36 and 34 next World Cup. They could make it. They're the sort of competitors who would probably want to, but if they're in the squad, they're either the main men or not at all, I would suggest. So I think they're there as interims if you need them, if you want them to help the youngsters maybe, but even then, sometimes I think you just need to let the younger players get on with it without the shadow of a great Owen Farrell over their shoulder. So interims for now. You may say stay, you may say go. I'd love to know your thoughts there. Now into a couple of weak areas for England, the centres and the back three. Ollie Lawrence, 11 caps, has shown signs of really good play, of breaks, of being dangerous. 28 next World Cup. He's one guy that England will absolutely need to stick around. Joe Marchant's going to Stade Francais. Manu Tuolangi could be an interim player, but obviously his injuries is a problem. He'll be 36 next World Cup. Do you move on from him? We've been saying you need to move on from Tuolangi for so long. He put in a decent shift in this World Cup, but I think it's time to go, mainly because you need to try some new centres, and England desperately need to get some new centres in there. I'll talk about that in the next video for England. Back three, another area where we need to grow some more depth. Henry Arundel, we obviously saw signs of try-scoring ability against Chile, but then sometimes he just stays on his wing and doesn't do a lot. Is that because he's been told to? Is that because he's a little bit tentative? I don't know. He is going to France to Racing 92, which will be really good experience for him. He should be a better player, and actually he is still available because it's an exceptional circumstance for this year, unless he re-signs for next year. So at the moment he's available, so he's a stay. Max Malins, well, he's going to have to be a go, I think, because they brought in Marcus Smith to fullback when Malins was kind of the next guy there. They didn't even use him. He's a good all-round player, but is he a fullback? Is he a 15? Is he a 10? I don't know. I think he needs to go back and kind of show what he can do, to be honest, so he's a go. Johnny May has retired. Anthony Watson, I'm putting him down as an interim. This was a World Cup where he could have done with playing. England really needed him and he got injured. He is very injury prone at the moment, but I'll put him down as an I if needed because we are very light in the back three in experience. Freddie Stewart, well, we know his strengths, we know his weaknesses. Fantastic on a rainy day under the high ball. On a dry day, if they're trying to move the ball, maybe not the quickest. In defence, a bit vulnerable, but he definitely stays. 26 next World Cup. He should get better as well, so a very useful player to have around. Then Elliot Daly, I think interim for him. He did what was asked of him in this World Cup. We were a bit worried about his defensive ability, but I don't think he made any particular mistakes. And he just chased kicks all day long, looked pretty tidy, a few half breaks, nothing special, but interim, 35 next World Cup. I don't think he's a guy for the next World Cup. Could be very useful, especially because we're light in the centres as well. He could help there. So that's me running a rule over the players that featured in this World Cup, plus a couple of others. Should they stay? Should they go? Should they be used as an interim player as you build up to the next World Cup? I'd love to know your thoughts. Comments below. Should they stay? Should they go? Etc. Should they be used as an interim? And if you've got any other questions for me as well, put in the comments below, capital Q and your question. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll catch you next time.